Welcome back to our channel, where we uncover the most gripping true crime stories from around the world. Today, we delve into a shocking case that rocked the community of Alexandria, Virginia, and the world at large. It all started innocently enough on April 14, 2021, when 25-year-old Bazin Berher made a disturbing discovery at his workplace, a local Target store. Bazin Berher realized that his lunch had been stolen from the office fridge, but what seemed like a minor inconvenience would spiral into a tragedy of immense proportions. The perpetrator, 58-year-old Hernan Leyva, a janitor at the same Target store. Fueled by rage and a thirst for revenge, Berher concocted a sinister plan. He purchased weapons, a hammer and 2 knives, from the very store where he worked. With his arsenal in hand, Berher spent a day training for the murder, as he chillingly described it to detectives. Then, on the morning of April 17th, Berher lay in wait for his unsuspecting victim in the employee parking lot. As soon as Leyva arrived, Berher launched his brutal attack, mercilessly stabbing and bludgeoning him to death with the very weapons he had purchased. In a shocking turn of events, Berher fled the scene, leaving behind a lifeless body and a community in shock. But justice would eventually catch up with him. Berher surrendered himself to the authorities, confessing to the heinous crime he had committed. During his sentencing hearing, Berher's chilling threats only added to the horror of his actions. The judge handed down a sentence of 100 years with 30 years suspended, a small measure of closure for the grieving family of Hernan Leyva. The murder of Hernan Leyva over a stolen lunch serves as a grim reminder of the devastating consequences of unchecked anger and violence. Now, let's take a closer look at the individuals involved in this tragic case. Bazin Berher, a young man with a promising future, found himself consumed by anger over the theft of his lunch. Growing up in Alexandria, Berher was known as a quiet and reserved individual. However, beneath his calm exterior lurked a simmering rage that would ultimately erupt in violence. On the other side of this tragedy was Hernan Leyva, a hard-working janitor known for his dedication and jovial personality. Hernan was the heart and soul of our team. He always had a smile on his face and a kind word for everyone. Leyva's senseless murder sent shockwaves through the community, leaving his loved ones grappling with grief and disbelief. What drove Berher, a seemingly ordinary young man, to commit such a heinous act? To shed light on this question, we turn to experts in the field of psychology. The psychologist said, Berher's actions can be attributed to a phenomenon known as escalation of commitment. Once he felt slighted by the theft of his lunch, he became increasingly fixated on seeking revenge, ultimately leading to a tragic outcome. As Berher's obsession with revenge grew, his ability to rationalize his actions diminished, plunging him deeper into a spiral of violence. The ripple effects of Hernan Leyva's murder were felt far beyond the confines of the Target store parking lot. His family, friends, and co-workers were left grappling with profound loss and unanswered questions. One family member said, "We never imagined that something as trivial as a stolen lunch could result in such a senseless tragedy. Hernan was taken from us far too soon, leaving a void that can never be filled." In the wake of Leyva's murder, the community of Alexandria came together to honor his memory and demand justice for his untimely death. As we reflect on the tragic events that unfolded at the Target store on that fateful day, let us remember Hernan Leyva not as a victim, but as a beloved member of his community whose life was cut short by senseless violence. One co-worker said, "Hernan was more than just a colleague. He was like family to us. His kindness and infectious laughter brightened up even the dreariest of days at work." Outside of his job at Target, Hernan Leyva was known for his selflessness and dedication to serving others. He volunteered at local shelters, helping those less fortunate than himself. Hernan was a pillar of our community. He was always willing to lend a helping hand and go the extra mile for anyone in need. His loss has left a gaping hole in our hearts. As investigators delved into the circumstances surrounding Hernan Leyva's murder, they uncovered a troubling pattern of escalating aggression on the part of Bazin Berher. It was revealed that Berher had a history of confrontations with co-workers and customers at the Target store. His short fuse and propensity for violence should have raised red flags long before tragedy struck. There were warning signs that Bazin had a volatile temper, but no one could have predicted the extent of his rage. "We never imagined he was capable of something like this." During his interrogation, Bearer offered chilling insights into his mindset leading up to the murder. He spoke of feeling betrayed by Lever's theft of his lunch and claimed that he felt justified in seeking revenge. His words painted a disturbing picture of a man consumed by anger and driven to commit a senseless act of violence in the name of perceived justice. As the case against Basenberry unfolded in court, the prosecution presented damning evidence of premeditation and malice aforethought. Witnesses recounted Bearer's chilling preparations in the days leading up to the murder, including his purchase of weapons and his ominous threats against Hernan Lever. The prosecution made a compelling case that Bearer's actions were not the result of a momentary lapse in judgment, but rather a calculated and deliberate plan to inflict harm. In the end, the judge handed down a sentence befitting the severity of Bearer's crime, a punishment that will ensure he spends the rest of his days behind bars, where he can no longer pose a threat to society. As we reflect on the tragic loss of Hernan Lever and the senseless violence that claimed his life, let us not forget the importance of fostering empathy and understanding in our communities. May Hernan's memory serve as a beacon of hope and a reminder of the power of compassion in a world too often marred by conflict and division. Another family member said, "We never imagined that something as trivial as a stolen lunch could result in such a senseless tragedy. Hernan was taken from us far too soon, leaving a void that can never be filled." In the wake of Lever's murder, the community of Alexandria came together to honour his memory and demand justice for his untimely death. Hernan Lever's journey to Alexandria, Virginia began decades ago in his homeland of El Salvador. He immigrated to the United States in pursuit of a better life, dreaming of opportunities that seemed within reach in the land of the free. Hernan was always driven by a strong sense of determination and resilience. Despite facing hardships and adversity, he never lost sight of his goals and aspirations. In Alexandria, Hernan found a sense of belonging among a vibrant community of immigrants, each with their own stories of struggle and triumph. He worked tirelessly to build a better future for himself and his loved ones. The impact of Hernan Lever's murder reverberated far beyond the confines of the Target store parking lot. It sent shockwaves through the immigrant community, sparking conversations about safety, justice, and the American dream. A community leader said, "Hernan's death struck a chord with so many of us who have come to this country in search of a better life. It reminded us of the dangers we face and the sacrifices we make in pursuit of our dreams." In the days following Lever's murder, residents took to the streets to demand action from local authorities. They called for increased security measures and greater support for immigrant workers facing discrimination and abuse. As investigators sifted through the evidence, they uncovered disturbing details about Basenberry's troubled past and his descent into violence. The trial of Basenberry was a sobering reminder of the complexities of the criminal justice system and the pursuit of justice for victims and their families. As the prosecution presented its case, the courtroom was filled with tension and emotion. Witnesses recounted the events leading up to the murder, painting a vivid picture of Bearer's descent into darkness. Join us next time as we delve into another captivating true crime story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more gripping content.